When a dog comes into a new home, it can be really stressful. And they need some time to get acclimated without the family overwhelming them with even more uh, excessive attention or restraining them for pets and cuddles. So, welcome to this episode of Dog Leads. I'm Steve Bishop, certified dog trainer. As a family paws parent educator, I talk a lot about preparing a family with dogs for life with baby. In episode 9, I talk about teaching kids how to interact appropriately with dogs. But this week, I wanted to talk about bringing a dog into a home, whether there's kids or just adults in the home. Before we start that, I wanted to invite you to a presentation I'm giving on June 24th. It's called Beyond the Fence, Navigating the Dog Park. This is more than just rules and regulations. This is a 1 hour workshop that explores essentials of canine social dynamics, from understanding healthy play styles to navigating local ordinances. It will cover essential etiquette for owners and tips for reading social cues, ensuring everyone is having a safe, positive, and fun time. I will leave a link to that in the description where you can register and all of the presentations that I have coming up. So I won't go too far into discussion about problem behaviors such as resource guarding and, anxiety, those types of things. Those would really need their own episode, probably a couple of episodes. This is more just a general overview. When you're planning on bringing a new dog into the home, whether it's a puppy or an adult dog, discuss what the rules are going to be with all the family members before the dog gets there, so everybody's on the same page. Different people aren't asking for different things from the dog, so it's less confusing for them. Think about, what is the feeding schedule going to be like that? Are you going to open feed? Are you going to just feed once or twice a day? Who's going to walk the dog? When will those walks happen? First thing in the morning, when you get home from work or school, right before bed. We also want to talk about, where is the dog going to sleep? Are they going to sleep in their kennel at night? Or are they going to sleep in somebody's bedroom? Are they going to have access to the entire house? So like Malcolm, we have a gate. We don't want him in the kitchen and the family room during the night. So we close the gate and we keep him in the front room or library and the bedrooms, pretty much. So these are the things that you want to be thinking about and you want to discuss, so everybody is on the same page and following the same rules. Another thing you want to think about is, what toys are they going to play with? So a good example, when we got Duncan, he came from a foster home where the person just decided, okay, I can go to the Salvation Army or Goodwill or something like that and pick up some stuffed toys and let Duncan play with those. And that was great. It was a really inexpensive alternative. And I won't get into it too far, but you want to be careful of the fire retardant chemicals they put on them, because I have heard of dogs getting sick from those before, but it can be a good alternative. The problem was, not terribly long after we had Duncan, we found out we were pregnant with our first daughter. If you have kids, or you know somebody that has kids, if you don't know what the person wants, the go-to gift is a stuffed toy for the kid. So we're starting to think, well, this is going to be a problem, because Becca, it was our oldest, Becca is going to get these stuffed toys, and then Duncan is going to want to play with, tear them up and eviscerate them. So these are kind of the things that you want to think about, is, what toys is the dog going to have access to, and is this going to be a problem in the future? And sometimes you can't predict it. You just don't know. You just want to start thinking these things through as best you can. The other thing you want to do is puppy proof the house. So when I say puppy proof, I just mean, making it safe for dogs. So you want to put, get breakables off the coffee table. Make sure any types of food, if you keep your bread or your cereal on the counter, make sure that's pushed back where the dog can't get to it. If you have a runner on your dining room table, you want to make sure that's either put away or folded up, so that the dog can't get it, pull it, and pull the, the flower pot that's or the vase that's sitting on it, pull that off the table. Again, you want to make sure there are these safety areas. Talbot, when I first got him, he liked to chew on books. So my my apartment for first couple of months, I didn't have any books on the bottom shelves of my bookshelves. When you first bring a dog home, everybody wants to play with the dog. Everybody wants to spend time with the dog. But it's important to allow the dog that time to get acclimated. So we don't want to like I said in the intro, we don't want to overwhelm the dog with all this attention. We want to let them get comfortable in their space. So a good example is my dad was in the Navy, and he had to leave for a tour, and I think he was going to the Mediterranean, but he was gone for 6 months. The day after he left, my younger brother was born. When he came back that 6 months later, my brother just looked at this guy like, who the hell are you? We kind of make that analogy with these puppies coming into the house. We're such easy marks, so to speak. We get this dog in the house. Oh, we love him so much. And the dog doesn't yet know who you are or that they're going to love you too. So we don't want to overwhelm them to the point where they're like, well, this person just, gets a hold of me and won't let me go. And it's really annoying. I'm out of here. I'm going to stay away from this person. Again, we just don't want to overwhelm the dog once they come into the house. We want to give them those times to explore and get settled in a little bit. One of the things we can do, and I actually had this later in my notes, but it's two methods pretty much doing the same thing. So one of them is by Justine, and I'm going to butcher this name, Schuurmans, I think is how you pronounce it. Schuurmans, Schuurmans, is credited for coming up with this. It's called the PAT, P-A-T, PET, P-E-T, pause. So with this, what you do is you pat your leg to kind of get the dog's attention, see if they want to come over. If they do, then you can pet them 2 or 3 times, and then pause. Just wait. If the dog kind of leans in, if they come back to you, if they look at you and paw at you, invite you to continue, then it's okay to keep petting them. If not, if they look disinterested, if they're like, okay, that's enough, and they turn around and walk off, or something like that, we want to allow them to do that. Jennifer Shryock came up with something similar. She calls it the pet pause, and both of those are P-E-T. And what that is, if the dog comes by, if the dog comes close enough, if the dog comes towards you, pet them twice, pet, and then pause. And we look again for those signs, the leaning in, the invitation to keep petting. Okay. But the point of both of these is interact with the dog, and then we stop for a second and it's like, is that okay? Or are you all done? And then allow the dog to tell us what is appropriate or what they want at that time. This is a common theme in this episode. Allow the dog to get out of that space. We don't want to overwhelm the dog. Another thing to keep in mind, dogs need a lot of sleep, even adult dog. Puppies can sleep up to 20 hours a day. And it depends on how young they are. Adult dogs will sleep 12 to 16 hours a day. And that depends on size, breed, all of those things. And then as they become senior dogs, they're going to start to need more sleep or just enjoy chilling on the couch or in a sunspot. Research also shows that sleep is needed to process new information. So whether it's training or just assimilating general information, what was in the backyard that day or something like that. So we need to allow the dogs that downtime so that they can just process their day and process this information that they're getting and that's coming in. Something that a lot of trainers are leaning into now is, well, with dogs that are being adopted or brought into the home, is what's called the rule of threes. So the dogs need 3 days to decompress, 3 weeks to learn routines, and then 3 months to really feel at home and for their personality to fully come out. So we want to allow them those times to decompress, allow them to sit back and observe so they know our routines. We get up in the morning, I get my youngest daughter up for school, and I take her to the bus stop in the morning. Malcolm knows right about the time I start pouring my coffee into my travel mug, we're about to go. And he just goes into his kennel. We don't lock him in his kennel, but he goes into his kennel, just kind of lays down and chills out until my wife gets up. He's learned that routine. So we want to allow the dogs to sit back and learn those routines so they know when to get out of the way, when certain things are going to happen. Most of a dog's communication is body language. I'm going to leave a link to a presentation I did a couple of months ago in the description that really goes in depth about body language, nowhere near as far as I could, but it gives a really, really good foundation of what to look for and how to interpret the dog's body language, how they're feeling. Things to keep in mind are, when I was growing up, I was always told, oh, if a dog's wagging his tail, he's friendly. Well, that's not always true. If it's a really broad, loose wag, the whole back end is wiggling with it, then yeah, the dog's probably happy to see you. If it's a real tight, real short wag, then the dog's a little bit tense. Or if they're not wagging at all, they could just be relaxed and just chilling out. They use the tail for balance also. It's not just about how happy they are. If it's down, if it's tucked, all these things are signs of how the dog is feeling. Another thing you can look for, real low level stress signals, are things like a lip lick when the dog's not expecting a treat. Yawn when the dog's not tired, totally out of context. What we call look away, where the dog won't look at you, but they're not distracted by something. I kind of liken it to little kids when it's like, if I don't see you, you're not really there, kind of a thing. Yeah, these are those low-level stress signals to look for. And at that point, we just want to leave the dog alone, let them have their space. Another thing, particularly with little kids, most dogs don't like hugs. I've mentioned in another episode, if you go to Google and type in hugging dogs and just cover up everything except the dog's face, look at how that dog is actually feeling. It's not very cute most of the time. There are very few dogs that actually do enjoy being hugged or being restrained. And some dogs only like it with certain people. Becca that I was talking about before, she can lay on top of Malcolm, hug him, hold him. He's fine with it. Anybody else, he's like, yeah, I'm not really digging this. I'm good. I'm going to excuse myself. So look at their body language and try and suss out how exactly they are feeling. We're not putting the dogs in an uncomfortable situation. And when a dog's uncomfortable, it can potentially lead to a snap or a bite. And that's definitely what we want to avoid. And the final thing, we want to make sure we have a training plan for the dog. And I talked in a previous episode about how to find a trainer, and I'll leave a link to that in the description also. Find a good qualified trainer to help you teach the dog just appropriate manners. Even just, you don't have to go into agility or rally or barn hunt or anything like that. If you just want a well-behaved companion, a little bit of training goes a long way. So talk about that also and how you're going to implement that into having the dog in the home. So there are some things to think about if you are bringing a new dog into the home, whether it's a puppy or an adult. And later I can delve into, if it's a puppy, some specifics about that, or if it's an adult dog or even a senior dog, I can delve into that. Just let me know if you're interested in something like that, and I can definitely get that information together. Leave a comment, or as always, you can email me at bishopsgatetraining@gmail.com. I also wanted to mention I'm working on scheduling an interview with a groomer friend of mine for next month. So if you have any questions specifically about grooming or hygiene, let me know. Again, leave a comment or email me, and I'll get those into the interview and present those to Noni is a person's name. So thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. I'm trying to keep my aspirations realistic, so I would really like to get to 100 subscriptions. If you find this interesting, or you know somebody who would, please share it and like and subscribe. And as always, if you have any questions, if you'd like to suggest a topic, or there's something you'd like me to delve in more deeply, just leave a comment or email me at bishopsgatetraining@gmail.com, and we will see you next week.